We all know Jenkins is the engine of our CI/CD pipelines, and it's built for one thing, really, speed. But, in that mad dash to automate everything, there's this critical vulnerability that we often ignore, and that's security. So today, we're going to break down how to fortify your pipelines and really shift from that speed first to a secure first way of thinking.
So let me just ask you this. Your deployments? Yeah, they might be happening at lightning speed, but are they secure? And that right there, that's the core tension for pretty much every DevOps team. It's this relentless push for faster delivery versus the absolute non-negotiable need for solid security. The real question is, are we accidentally building super fast lanes for attackers?
You see, this trade-off creates what we call the pipeline's blind spot. In the race to automate and just get things done, security often ends up as an afterthought, a problem for later. And as we all know, later all too often becomes never.
So, why does this keep happening? Well, it really boils down to a few things. First, there's just this intense focus on speed, right? Delivery is the metric that everyone's watching. Second, security, it's often seen as this really complex thing, a roadblock that's just going to slow everything down. And finally, and this is a big one, there's just a simple lack of awareness. A lot of developers just don't know where the vulnerabilities are hiding. It's kind of the perfect storm of cultural pressure and technical blind spots.
So let's zoom in on one of the single biggest risks lurking in that blind spot, the way we handle secrets. I'm talking about API keys, database passwords, access tokens, all the keys to your entire kingdom.
And look, the stakes here are incredibly high. Getting this wrong isn't just some minor slip-up. No, it's a direct, wide-open path to unauthorized access and, potentially, catastrophic data breaches.
Let's make this really concrete. Picture this. A developer, they're in a hurry, so they hard-code an API key directly into a script. An attacker finds it. And now your own trusted CI/CD pipeline is being used to push their malicious code straight into production. Suddenly your own automation engine, it's working for the bad guys. That's the nightmare scenario we're talking about.
So what's the fix? Well, let's look at the old way of storing secrets, right inside Jenkins, versus the new way. With the old way, rotating a secret is a manual chore that, let's be honest, gets forgotten. There's no versioning, so if you make a mistake, good luck. And access control is basically all or nothing. It's a system that was really designed for convenience, not for security. The new way, using an external vault, just flips this whole thing on its head, giving you actual control, auditing, and real security.
And that new way we just mentioned, it's all about moving to a central vault solution. Seriously, it is time to get your secrets out of your CI/CD tool and into a dedicated, secure home that's built for them.
Okay, so the fancy term for this is external secrets management, but all it really means is storing all your sensitive stuff, API keys, passwords, you name it, in a purpose-built, secure service that lives outside of Jenkins. A perfect example, and the one we'll focus on, is AWS Secrets Manager.
Let me put it another way. Storing secrets in Jenkins is kind of like leaving your house key under the doormat. Sure, it's easy, but literally everyone knows where to look. Using a service like AWS Secrets Manager, that's like putting that same key in a bank vault. It's designed for one single purpose, keeping your most valuable assets safe.
Okay, so the bank vault idea sounds great, right? But the big question is, how do you actually hook up your Jenkins pipeline to it? You might be surprised to hear that it's probably simpler than you think.
The magic here is just a single, simple Jenkins plugin. It's called the AWS Secrets Manager Credential Provider. Think of it as a secure bridge that lets Jenkins ask AWS for credentials only when it needs them, without ever having to store them locally.
And connecting it all is a really straightforward three-step process. First up, you grant permission. You do this by creating what's called an IAM policy in AWS. This is basically you telling the vault, hey, this specific Jenkins instance, it's allowed to ask for secrets. Second, you install the bridge. That's the plugin we just talked about. And third, you just use the secret by referencing it in your pipeline script. That's it. Now, when the job runs, Jenkins just fetches the secret securely. No hard coding, no local files, just secure on-demand access. All right, we've covered a lot. But the key thing to remember is that securing Jenkins isn't just some impossible dream. It's totally achievable. So to wrap things up, let's just run through a quick fortification checklist you can start using today.
First, centralize your secrets. We've talked a lot about why that's so critical. Next, apply the principle of least privilege. I mean, it's just common sense, right? If a job doesn't need access to something, don't give it.
Always keep your plugins and dependencies updated. Vulnerabilities get patched for a reason. Isolate your build agents using tools like Docker. It helps contain any potential breach. Practice secure pipeline coding. Start thinking of your Jenkins file as application code, because it absolutely is. And finally, turn on detailed logging and monitoring, because if you can't see what's happening, you have no chance of securing it.
And that really brings us to our final thought here. The goal isn't to choose between speed and security. It's about weaving them together. So I want to leave you with this one last question. Is your team just building for speed, or are you building for trust? Because at the end of the day, a secure pipeline isn't just a technical achievement. It is the absolute foundation of trust with your users and with your stakeholders.